Good afternoon. Welcome to Military Strategies. We are live right now, March 6, 2026. The war continues between Israel, the United States, and Iran. More missiles, more war, more destruction. And the plan is being carried out as written and designed by Netanyahu and Trump. And today, here, exclusively, the destruction of the Ayatollah's bunker. Fam, like, comments. Let's get started. Let's get started. Fam, we're here now. Thank you so much for being live with us. Welcome to Military Strategies. It's a pleasure and honor to be able to tell you from Israel what's happening, what's going on, and where this whole situation is taking us. Thank you so much for being live with us. Thanks to the whole community, to everyone who leaves us likes and comments, Super Chat, and also PayPal to support us so that we can be here, in Israel, living firsthand what's happening, what's going on. All right, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk, obviously, about the destruction of the Ayatollah's bunker, which today has taken down, once again, no less than half of Iran's political military leadership. All of that happening. We're also going to talk about the issue of ballistic missiles, cluster munitions, and cluster bombs. We're going to talk about the radars that Iran may have destroyed and look at satellite images. We're going to study those radars in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia, and in other countries, what their function is and why they're so important. Is Iran doing its homework or not? What is the missile firing rate? What is the reality right now in Israel? What's happening? Let's look at Lebanon, and let's also look at a very interesting map of what I think it's going to be. Or the ground operation is going to start in a couple of weeks. I'm talking about a couple of weeks or maybe days, so don't think we're very far off either. We also have exclusive footage of the destruction and sinking of Iran's drone carrier. Yes, do you remember the maritime vehicle, the naval one, the Temu drones? You remember it, right? We have the footage over there, and now later we'll see it here exclusively, along with other footage, other images of destruction and combat operations by the United States of America, very important ones. So sit down, make yourselves comfortable, because we're starting with everything. We're starting with all the daily information about what was happening. We're not leaving, we're not going directly from here, from this frame, and this is super important. It's widely discussed, and I'm sharing it on social media. Yes, it's true, Israel is under attack. Missiles are being launched. By the way, just a couple of minutes ago, a missile was launched, one from Iran. That was the wave, a missile that obviously triggered all the alarms. It activated all of Israel's defense systems. It's standard procedure that when a missile of that type is launched, the population must be warned, because now Iran is launching a missile, but with a warhead. Cluster, that's what you see over there. The previous frame you saw was the fall of one of those bomblets. Small-sized explosives, but they're very lethal. They have a lot of shrapnel and can cause a lot of damage. That's undeniable. It's happening, and they're using that ammunition. I'm going to make it clear once again, for the umpteenth time, I don't feel like it, but in the end, we're going to have to do it. To go outside, to go live from this car, no, not even record a video, but actually go live and walk around Tel Aviv to see if it's really destroyed or not, if the skyscrapers are lying on the ground or what's really happening. For days now, the only things falling on Israel are fragments from intercepted missiles and also bomblets, those that fall from time to time. But a direct hit from a missile with a 1-ton warhead hasn't happened for quite a few days now. Thank God it hasn't happened, because every time it does, it wipes out half a neighborhood. And that's true. It's undeniable. I'm not here to sugarcoat things or say things that aren't true. But the rate of fire of the Iranian missiles is very poor, I insist. The number of missiles that Iran is firing per day is very low. There you have the trajectory. Very high, it's high, and they're shooting, it's very... And it's just that it's going lower and lower each time, it's going lower and lower, it's going lower and lower. Which is logical, you have to understand it when you have air superiority over a territory. Where they have to move the launchers, where everything is mapped out, where there are people who, through secure channels, are sending locations to Mossad. Where the launchers are, well, the most logical thing, the most normal thing, this is from February 28th to March 3rd. I mean, it's not even updated from 3 days ago. There's just a projection of what it could be. Today is the 6th. They should launch 9, tomorrow the 7th 5, and on March 10th 1 for now. Today they've launched, I think it's been twice, or something like that. Each time there are fewer. That's good news, because what they're bombing or trying to bomb are places where obviously, I mean, there are civilians. They're not attacking military bases. They're not attacking high-value targets. They're simply dropping cluster munitions from everywhere to cause as much damage as possible. By the way, today they even launched a missile toward Gaza. Do you remember? It set off all the alarms, even in the kibbutzim, but not in Gaza, because in Gaza there is no alarm system. Israel doesn't take care of that. That's a different matter. The issue of Gaza, they fired toward Gaza, but I don't know if they were aiming for atacar some specific area of Gaza or not. We know it. We don't know this. Let's also talk about the famous F-15 that may have been shot down inside Iranian territory. We have a video that may be enlightening in that sense, here exclusively on military strategies. You are going to see what happens or what doesn't happen. We're going to see all of this here with you. We continue with the topic of missiles. We continue with the topic of missiles, which is extremely important. And it's generating a lot of interest. Okay, there's a lot of interest being raised about this issue. I want to show you. Allow me. I'm going to show you a video I was looking for. Here it is. You see submunitions falling from such a high altitude, and some may claim they're missile debris, but they're not. Look, this is Jordan. You can see the submunitions falling with the missile. What Iran has done, what Iran is doing to prevent the missile from being destroyed. Before the warhead opens and releases those submunitions, it opens at high altitude. That is, at a great height, the warhead opens and releases its payload. That's why there's friction, and that friction causes them to light up. They look like missile fragments from a destroyed missile, but they're actually submunition. Why do they do it that way? First, to prevent the arrow system from intercepting the missile at high altitude and eliminating the threat. Obviously, second, because that way, by launching them from a high altitude, which is what I want to show you. Look there. As it falls, the further it drops, it spreads out more and more and more and more and more, and the area it covers gets bigger. So, by launching it from a higher altitude, you lose accuracy, the attack becomes less precise, but you cover a larger area. You see, as it falls, the circle gets bigger and bigger, and they spread out much more. They end up covering a much wider area. Normally, cluster munitions are made to attack armored columns, fortified positions, a trench, for example, to attack a military base, a military airport, large military targets. So you come in with the plane at low altitude, the projectile passes overhead, it opens up and drops the explosives. This is different. What they are doing is launching it from a great height so that it hits as many houses as possible and causes as much damage as possible. When this happens many times, the Iron Dome system goes out to intercept them. But of course, just imagine the number of Tamir missiles you would have to fire to cover all of this. So, yes, it's true, as we saw in that video at the beginning, that those explosions happen over land. What are Israel and the United States doing? They are destroying the launchers, even those that are hidden or covered. They are being destroyed on the ground. With special operations agents, also from the air, with drones, and also with precision bombings. This has been happening since day one. It's super important to emphasize that. Priority is being given to preventing the launch of that type of ammunition that causes so much damage. There you see it. You're going to see how the grenade drops. There it is coming down. The grenade, it's very small, a very small projectile already when it hits the ground. Look at this area here. What? Has the shrapnel already hit this area? These glass shards automatically turn into shrapnel. And it's super dangerous to be nearby because they're like blades flying everywhere. It causes a lot of surface damage, but little penetration damage. In other words, it's a weapon designed to catch people who are around on the street. That's why it's important. What we're seeing here, that's why it's important. I want to emphasize to follow the instructions of the Israeli Home Front Command so that there are no accidents. For example, I'm going to move the camera for a second so you can see, you see the cars back there. Some cars have been abandoned, but there's one car that's moving. Imagine if this projectile had fallen 50 meters further back at the other intersection instead of this one. We would be talking about a major personal tragedy, an important one, most likely certain death, all right? So it's important, extremely important. Do you see it up there at the top, just below where the time is shown? There's a vehicle moving. This can't happen. You have to stay in the shelters. You shouldn't go out to record missiles or to film anything. We've already seen how missiles fall. Nothing new will be discovered. And well, that's how it is. That's how it is. Just to understand. All right, good. Let's continue. Radar topic. This is creating a lot of discussion on social media about whether Iran is destroying radars or not. I'm going to put a very important photo here. We're live right now, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. Which is the radar or one of the radars that activates the entire air defense system and allows us to respond in time? That's about 10 to 15 minutes to get to the shelters. Which ones are the air defense ones? This device you see is the radar of the THAAD system. I'm not going to get into very technical details. But what it does is detect the launch of ballistic missiles from a great distance, calculate their trajectory, identify the type, even the specific missile, speeds, everything. And launch anti-aircraft missiles to shoot it down. Of this type of radar, the one you're seeing, there are 13 in the world. It's the ANTPY-2. It's a radar that can cost between $500 million and $1 billion. It's expensive, it saves lives. It's a radar in the X-band, transportable, and it's used for threats that come at high altitude. That's why the smooth part you see is pointing upwards, it's not pointing downwards. It's not a radar that's useful against drones or cruise missiles. It's mainly made to detect ballistic threats. Well, Iran, I said on the first day, if Iran is smart and wants to cause harm, it has to go after the radars. Iran knows this. It's not that I'm giving them ideas, please. Nobody misunderstand. This is a news, documentary, informational channel. I'm not giving targets. I'm just analyzing both sides militarily. Regardless of the fact that I think most of us here believe that Israel is freeing Iran from tyranny, and it's clear that there's a serious problem with that kind of dictatorship. We have to analyze the military issue as it is, from where it is, and how it is. All right, well, if Iran is smart, it should have attacked. First of all, these radars, eliminate them all. If Iran had eliminated all these radars, And now let's look at another photo, the airbase in Jordan, where it said that this radar has been eliminated. There's the image. If these radars are eliminated, there will no longer be early warning, which means Israel will no longer be able to alert the population in time. From those 10-15 minutes, it will be reduced to 5 minutes or less. All right, good. There are 13 of these radars in the world. At least 6 are deployed in the operational area of this conflict. It is said that around 3 or 4 have been destroyed. Is the system still working? The early warning worked well just minutes ago. My question is, knowing that Iran has access to high-resolution satellite imagery like this, which we are seeing that China provides them, it would be logical to think that the United States is deploying these radars in the typical positions that we see. We might think that what we're seeing is actually a decoy, that is a mock-up for Iran to fire at. What? First of all, what do we see falling there? I don't think it was a high-powered ballistic missile, because the vehicles are still in their positions. It could have been a drone, it could have been another type of missile, but it's definitely not a 1,000-kilogram missile. However, you can see there are remains of an explosion. There, it's clear. That's not the only place. Let's look at more photographs. From a military point of view, it's typical, natural, logical. It wouldn't make much sense to leave these radars in the same place for a long time so that Iran could launch an attack. They're mobile radars. As we've seen in the first photograph, they can be transported. You can move it 50, 60, 80 meters around the perimeter of the base, and you can do it every 3 or 4 hours, knowing the timing. Also, since the United States knows the times when the satellite that takes the photographs passes by, the radar can be moved. So there are 2 points. If the United States is not moving the location radars, that's a mistake. If Iran is managing to destroy the United States early warning radars, that's a problem. And if the United States is slipping a decoy, that is a mock-up to Iran, that's great. But the system keeps working, okay? The system keeps working. The American THAAD system forces must have already thought about this and considered the whole situation. And of course, we have to consider that they're moving around. There are also photos circulating made with artificial intelligence. Be careful with this. Be very careful. Be very careful, very careful. Because it's hard to tell truth from lies now. But there is one thing that's true. Watching this video we're about to see now is impressive. This is, well, more than impressive. It is. We're talking about the attack on one of those radars. Impressive. It is. It's impressive. Impressive is impressive. Impressive. Let's see. Yes. Aerial. Yes. Impressive. 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 It's impressive. It's impressive. Al-Kharg in Saudi Arabia is really impressive and interesting. I'm not sure if the video is real. I don't know. You can't tell anymore if it's artificial intelligence or not. Fam, we're live right now on Military Strategies. 25,000 people. Please like and comment. If the broadcast isn't clear, exit and rejoin. If you have any problems, please confirm everything is fine and let's check. I don't know. There's just one thing about this video that bothers me. The person recording is too close. Way too close. Notice that the explosion is right there. Because of the proximity, the projection of kinetic energy, and the shrapnel, that person would be very badly injured. However, he keeps recording. What do you guys think? I'm telling you this with all the confidence in the world. I don't mean to underestimate Iran's ability to destroy radars. Please, it's not that, but the video seems very strange to me. I know this video is going around. And besides, there's no interceptor missile that goes after a single missile. I mean, a single missile goes for the radar. To me, it seems really strange. I'm being honest, truly. With all certainty, to me, it seems really strange. Besides, the ones who are publishing it or who have been publishing it are accounts of questionable reputation. I don't believe it. They're telling us it happened at Prince Sultan Air Base, the Saudi Arabian one, but I don't think so. I just can't believe this. Too close to record that video. Knowing the destructive power of a missile like this, it seems really strange to me. Okay? Speaking of the effects of this, I'm not joking. I'm saying it so you can see it too. Effects of missile attacks, not only on people, but also on the environment. A poor turtle, please don't laugh. I'm very sensitive about animals. I'm being serious. A poor turtle. It has suffered, well, in the misfortune of crossing paths with the remains of some missile from Iran and, well, Israel. They picked it up and took it to an animal recovery center. Poor animal. At least it has its shell. It's carrying its bunker on its back, like I posted on Twitter. And nothing worse happened to it. I want to say something. These days I've been going to the shelter. I've been going from one place to another. I've been around. The animals suffer a lot. Nobody thinks about it, but the animals get very nervous. The animals, when they think about that kind of situations where people are stressed because they are very sensitive, especially dogs, they get very nervous. They start to tremble. I've seen it with him, with my colleague Daryl Kanieski, with Taco, his dog. The animal trembling. And well, that's another victim of all this, right? An interesting video. How does the THAAD system work for people to understand it? Is the missile about to hit? And this would be the command cabin, meaning this is the system that detects the information collected by the radar and interprets it. This is the command of the anti-aircraft battery. 243 ballistic velocity 4.6. It's detecting the launch. And it's plotting the path that the missile has to take to intercept the missile. There's something that's striking. I have to confirm it because I don't know. I'm not sure. Unlike the Israeli system, which is hit to kill, the THAAD system. It seems that as long as it passes nearby, it explodes, because at such a high altitude, there's no danger of nearby damage. That is, simply by passing nearby, a very powerful explosion occurs that destroys that missile. So, well, that's one of the qualities that this very, very important system has. Speaking of which, we have to look into the issue of the Ayatollah. I told you I'm going to start a little late because we're dealing with an important issue. I'm going to give you a preview, just a small preview. What's the story about? The bunker thing, the Ayatollah, the title, what's all this about? What's going on there? A little insight into what we've been building here in the last few hours, minutes before starting the show, because of a video released by the IDF. Well, get ready, because we're going to see it right after this. A bunker designed to be impenetrable, not to be destroyed, to live in for years. It has been destroyed. An operation with 100 fighter jets. I'll give you more details now. The bunker is no longer a bunker. It's ash, dust, destruction. And this also reveals to us details about how the Ayatollah was annihilated, because it's in the same place, it's in his residence, it's in the Ayatollah's residence. We have a lot of footage now of bombings, of destroyed buildings in Tehran, in Iran, and we have a very interesting map that we need to look at. And from which places are they attacking? In what order and in what way? We also have, obviously, live footage from, as expected, Beirut. There it is. We're also closely following what's happening over there in Beirut. Live footage. Right now with military strategies, Beirut. All the hotspots of the war are covered so that we are informed about what is happening right now. All right. Let's see. Next topic. Has something been talked about on social media in the last few hours? The war is... They're talking about the downing of a plane over enemy territory. Specifically an F-15 plane. In this coalition between Israel and the United States, there are F-35, F-16, F-15, F-18, B-52, and B-2 planes. There are different aerial platforms working in this operation, in attack operations, the F-22, and there has also been little talk about the F-22. But the drone launches against Israel are not reaching Israel. Iran's drones are not reaching Israel. Not a single one has gotten in. There must be something there that's stopping them, but there's been talk about the possible downing of an F-15. In the last few hours, social media has been buzzing. Well, let's talk about this here. We have to talk about everything. Can Iran shoot down a fighter jet over its territory? Yes, it's possible, but unlikely. The fighter jets today, the ones Israel and the United States are using, are escorted by electronic warfare aircraft. When it comes to radars, there are no active radars anymore. When the United States refers to having air supremacy or total air control over Iranian territory, it's because there are no radars anymore, at least none that are activated. Could there still be a medium or short-range launcher with its internal radar hidden somewhere? That's possible. But early warning radars in fixed positions no longer exist. Bien. Based on that, we only have weapons that are either heat-seeking or guided to the planes by heat, the manpads, or mobile anti-aircraft platforms that launch heat-guided missiles. And what happens when that occurs? This plane targeted by an Iranian air defense system. They're going to launch the missile to shoot it down. And the plane starts releasing decoys, flares at a high temperature that make it impossible for the targeting system to lock on. When the plane detects the missile launch, the system automatically releases the decoys, and that missile's guidance system directly goes straight for the flares. So I insist, with this it's possible, it can be done, they can be shot down, but it's unlikely. Between that and other things, for now it has been ruled out by CENTCOM. If there were any shootdowns, they would say so, they don't hide it. This is a war, as they said, and things are going to happen, and in itself, it's hidden. And this is interesting. In hospitals, schools, or disguised as women, they are important figures of the regime. Here you see one of the commanders of the Basij unit. dressed as a lady in a dress. The Revolutionary Guard is now using schools, mosques, and hospitals to hide, also sports centers. Another photograph? A sports center with the Basij motorcycles. This poses an operational problem for Israel and the United States because in theory they can't touch those places due to the media impact it would have. But they know it's there, they know they're hiding there. Guys like Ahmad Reza Radan are hiding there. And now you're going to say, who is this? Photograph? The guy is right there. Just so you get an idea. This guy is Sinwar 2.0. He's the chief of the regime's anti-terrorist police. Now he's in a hospital northwest of Tehran. That's where he is. They hide in hospitals because they know they're safe there. The former intelligence chief, Hossein Taif, could also have been eliminated today in an attack on Tehran. The one we see there could have been eliminated. We don't know anything about Kani. If he's alive or dead, or if they've executed him. A lot of people are talking about Kani. Little is known, very, very little. Last night we watched an important video, and it was the attack on the bunker. During the morning and night, that famous bunker has been under attack, which we're now going to talk about and discuss. Another one who might be gone, as we've mentioned, is Hossein Taib. Here we see another photograph of him. And he was the head of intelligence. The former head of intelligence of the regime has been attacked in what is believed to be his residence. We have video. When an attack like this happens, it's because there's a high probability that the target is there. The intelligence on the ground is working at full capacity to wipe them out. Donald Trump has said it, all of them are going to fall, they're not going to leave a single one. By the way, speaking of how bad things are in the shelters, careful, don't get me wrong. Going down to an air raid shelter, for many people, it's a real ordeal. And an anxiety attack. For other people, it's a different way to live. Images from inside a shelter in Tel Aviv, where it seems this turns into a nightclub. I'm not taking sides. People should just relax. And everyone in their own way. There you have it. Hit the bell. Are you having a good time? Anyway, war has many faces. These things happen. I wouldn't go partying in a bunker. The truth is no. Let's continue. Iran still has less missile launching capability, but a lot of drone launching capability. They're smaller, easier to hide, more images. They keep launching these types of drones against the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, launching these types of drones. Emiratos Árabes, Arabia Saudi, Kuwait. In recent hours, there has been talk that Iran might be planning the masterstroke against the Gulf monarchies. What would that be? Wouldn't it be the oil facilities? By the way, fuel prices in Spain have already gone up. I've been told about it. I want to say something. The government has room to control fuel prices because most of that set price is taxes. Spain could reduce the fuel tax for a couple of weeks to ease the cost, the price per barrel. Besides, it has strategic reserves. Isn't it also doing this to take a bit more advantage of the citizens and make their economy a bit more miserable? Government of Spain. By the way, I've been told by people who were trapped in Israel that they've already been able to leave. From Israel's southern border, heading to Egypt, likely to Sharm el-Sheikh. And from there, by plane to Spain. Congratulations from here to everyone for getting out safely. Let's get to what people like to see. How was the night in Iran? How was the sunset? How the most interesting moments of the day? How is the war going? In Iran and in Beirut? That is Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is moving its field artillery to the border. We'll talk about that. We'll talk later. Tehran. This way, let's go.
More, not anymore. No, left on the ground. But for me,
Sweet.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it later. He can't, and besides, we'll talk about it.
Tremendous, huh? The explosions happen one after another. Beirut. This seems to be unstoppable now. And it has become part of the daily life of Iranians. Despite that, the shops remain open. People keep living their quote-unquote lives normal because military targets are being attacked. In Beirut, the Dahiya neighborhood has been told to evacuate. They have obeyed. Thank God. The video is amazing. Take a look. How is it? What's happening? It's intense. A lot of ammunition is being deployed, a lot of combat missions. And here we have one of the videos of the day. Pilot of an Israeli F-15 two-seater, meaning two crew members, the pilot and the weapons operator, who sits right behind. The F-15, it could be. There are different versions, the two-seater and the single-seater. When you mainly want to use it for ground attack, you use the two-seater, so that the operator in the back, the weapons operator, stays busy, that's the point, and the pilot only has to fly and dodge threats and so on. All right. It's a video that's published today because it's Shabbat. It's a video that the Israeli forces wanted to release and that I'm going to translate for you. What it says here, let's take a look.
We, the pilots and navigators of the Israeli Air Force, are now flying in formation over Iran. We are in a campaign aimed at eliminating an existential threat to our country. We will reach anywhere, any enemy, for our country and for the security of our families. Around the clock, and we feel your support all the time. We wish you, citizens of Israel, a safe and peaceful Shabbat.
Well then, these are images of Israeli planes heading towards Iran. That's right. The Air Force pilot says, "We keep fighting as necessary day and night, and we feel your constant support. We wish the citizens of Israel a safe and peaceful Shabbat." 2,000 kilometers of travel. They do it quickly, but it's a journey full of threats. A difficult journey. The Israeli pilots risking it all in a single match. Tehran, Palestine Square. This is the famous, or one of the clocks set for the State of Israel. People wonder why Israel had to launch this war. And the answer is clear. They aim to destroy the State of Israel by any means necessary. However, there are men and women there. A huge responsibility. The Zagros Mountains. Total supremacy. The landscapes are breathtaking. But make no mistake, they're risking their lives, and in a big way, right? Thank you. That's the only thing Israel can say to its pilots for this work they're doing. We talked about the issue of the girls' school. In Iran, there are satellite images, new satellite images about the incident. It seems, according to the satellite images, that a military operation was indeed carried out on that military base, and in which the building, which is a school, suffered damage. There are images, which we are going to see now in this video. I have always promised that on this channel we will be 100% transparent regardless of what we believe. That Israel and the United States win and the dictatorship in Iran ends the barbarism. But information is always the first thing, the most important. This is an image from May 2024, Minab, Iran. The Revolutionary Guard base is visible. Inside that base there is a school. I don't know why, don't ask me, that doesn't make sense to me. And we see the before and after images. Day 4. In this day 4 image, several buildings appear to have been attacked. Of these, the one shown here, I'll enlarge the image for a clearer view. The elementary school, Sahara Tayyid, Al-Tayyid Tayyiba in Arabic. We can see how these buildings have also been attacked. These ones here have also been attacked. There has definitely been a military attack, surely with complete ignorance of the situation or the building type. But I'll also say something. If there are images, please tag me on Twitter. I'll see them, look at them, and comment on them. I'm honest, I haven't seen any images of the girls. I've seen images of some graves that have been dug in that same city, of a show that was set up there, of a funeral. I haven't seen it. If it's the case that there are dead civilians, I truly regret those deaths. From this channel, we offer our deepest condolences and sympathy to the families. They are children, whether or not their parents belong to the Revolutionary Guard. This is unacceptable, it's intolerable, and there must be an investigation to determine responsibility, to find out who failed in intelligence, if there was indeed a failure. We also need to know if the building was occupied at the time, and the investigation is ongoing. I told you that as soon as we had information or new information about this matter, we would share it. That's why we're here. We want to be a serious channel. None of that telling only what's convenient. We have to tell everything properly. That being said, where are we going? First, we want to thank you, family, 32,000 people. Seeing what's happening in the war, seeing what's going on, thank you. Headquarters of the Revolutionary Guard in Tehran. Well, not anymore. The vacuum cleaner has been through there. Or the drill. Things get complicated, huh? The Tehran sunset. Military strategies. One of today's most impressive videos is this one from Lebanon. Dahieh neighborhood. By the way, we still have a camera in Beirut. We're still there, right? We're still there? Dahieh neighborhood, Dahieh. Pay attention to the video. This is the most impressive thing today, huh? Building, I move the image to the left. Everyone pay attention, huh? The Dahieh neighborhood is located in the southern suburbs of Beirut, near the airport. It's a neighborhood where Safieddin, Hassan Nasrallah, Fuad Shukr, members of Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and even the Revolutionary Guard. The neighborhood of the Vipers, the neighborhood where Hezbollah hides among citizens, civilians, women, men, the elderly, and children. There they have underground arsenals, facilities built beneath the buildings, which pose an existential threat to Israel. The cruelty of war or using civilians as human shields. There it is, there it is. It's impressive to look at the building. Tremendous. Super tremendous. That's how things are happening right now. In Lebanon, desolate streets. Dahieh is starting to turn into a little Gaza, judging by the images. All of this is really shocking, really intense.
It has gone in a meter.
It's shocking. It's really shocking. And now you know how to tell which places, which ones, where they'll be, where Lebanon is. This is Iran, for example. You just go crazy because the settings are so similar. The situations are so similar to what's happening. And it's true that in Iran, the United States and Israel are focusing on purely military targets. 100%, that is bases, warehouses, serving bunkers, underground bunkers. The scenario in Beirut is much more complicated from a technical and operational standpoint. There, the one who can do it best is Israel. The United States would have a lot of intelligence problems in order to pinpoint the targets, and it would be quite complicated. Despite that, the operation is being carried out in different scenarios, such as Iran and Israel. Images of the IDF, Air Force. In-flight refueling of the planes. Heading to Iran. One of the most important parts of this operation is having the capability for continuous in-flight refueling 24 hours a day. That is being done together with the United States of America. In Israel, they are also doing it together, all at the same time, working as one. And now let's look at the images and another of today's images. Do you remember the ship? That was sunk by the Los Angeles-class submarine? They said it didn't have weapons, but that's a lie. During its stay in Sri Lanka at the port, the weapons were kept. In the ship's magazine, when they left the port, the ship was armed. It's not that the ship didn't have weapons, they didn't remove the guns. The ammunition was stored and then later taken out from there. All this debate that's going on about whether the United States attacked a defenseless ship or not. Gentlemen, even if it had been armed, they wouldn't have been able to do anything. There's no way to escape from a US Mark torpedo. You just can't. There's no way.
All right, you just can't.
There's breaking news about Russia. That's going to really piss off the United States of America. Is this important? Breaking news right now. According to CBS News, Russia is providing intelligence to Iran so that it can launch attacks on positions of the United States in the region. Thank you. Watch out for this. Because if it is confirmed, the United States of America should start sending some things that fly to Ukraine and that fly far. Very far. Russia and China indirectly are participating at the intelligence level in this war. Ballistic missile launchers destroyed by Israel. That's why they're not firing as much today. Also, 6 were destroyed. 6 of these. Iran keeps threatening, keeps launching attacks, keeps posting videos like these. The spokesperson. If the United States or the Sunni regime take military action against Iran, they will be attacked with full force. Is there a security statement that Jewish communities around the world should reinforce their security? Logical, normal. We must be very careful with what's happening right now. It's a very complicated issue, what's happening right now. And it must be handled with extreme caution. Public appearances, events, all of this, please keep it in mind. The community is watching us from anywhere in the world because a complicated situation could arise. Let's put it that way. Let's move on to another topic that people want to see. The Temu aircraft carrier. Here it is. This was in the past. Temu's aircraft carrier. Shahid Bagheri. The Shahid Bagheri. The Shahid Bagheri was a ship, originally a civilian one. They removed the deck and set up a kind of launch pad, just so you get an idea. In terms of size, it's the same size as a World War II aircraft carrier. For what? For that one? That's kind of what we're talking about. From this ship, you could launch drones, whether they're from Temu or not from Temu, to launch long-distance attacks. Well, Said Bagheri has had a visit from what I believe. It could be. The Lucases. Lucas has gone out for a walk. They probably also hit it with a harpoon missile because the ship is big. But the Lucases have been practicing with the Bagheri. Fam, how many people do we have? 30,000 people, 33,000. We're missing a lot of likes, family. Only 12,000 likes. It can't be because we're going to see Bagheri blowing up. This time it wasn't a torpedo. The drone ship may have been eliminated and by drones, there it is. First impact in the center of the deck, the ship. Oh my god, what a mess. Oh my god. The Bagheri in flames. It was anchored. It was stopped. It doesn't seem like the ship intended to set sail. Bandar Abbas area. The guys who 2 weeks ago were saying they were going to sink a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier of the United States of America. One or two? The Abraham Lincoln and the Ford. They have been left without a surface fleet. And I also think that the Kilo they had, the submarine, has also been sunk. Images of the Bagheri on the coast. It was probably abandoned. We assume that the ship had been abandoned for days. It was a matter of time. It was a matter of time before something like this happened because, well, it was a threat, a significant threat. Who could it have been? The United States obviously must have sent drones, Lucas. They probably let it burn, as is likely. The other one, the other ship, the Makran. The Makran, that's the one. The guys were walking on the deck saying death to the United States. Iris Makran. This one too, that one's already done for. It's destroyed. I'm going to play the video for you as a bit of an archive so people know about it. These are Israel's F-15S doing aerial refueling in flight. The Iris Makran.
Margbar.
America! Margbar America! Margbar America! Margbar America!
Well, the guys from the Makran who went Margbar, but not the president.
But Margbar America.
Margbar America! Margbar America!
They wanted to destroy the United States of America. And in the end, well, look at what happened to those poor people. They've been left without a video platform. Now let's see where they'll record their death to America, death to Israel, and so on videos. They keep launching drones and rockets from the north, from Beirut, well, from Lebanon. That conflict is still ongoing right now. The situation is pretty intense right now. A lot of drones, the people in the north. We send a big hug to all our friends in northern Israel. You are not alone. You have a great country behind you. I wish many countries were like this one that is defending you right now. I really do. Well, Makran, as they say here, the video isn't the right one. Sorry, we might have a correction. The video we were showing. I think it's Bagheri. Let's see. Let's try to give the full information. Although both ships are destroyed, this ship, not Makran, I think it's Bagheri. I think it's Bagheri because you can see the runway there at the end. Well, both of them are sunk, all right? Both of them are sunk. Now let's go. With the main course of the day, let's go with today's main menu. The death of Ali Khamenei, how did it happen? What happened in the bunker? What's the story behind the bunker? How was it done? Well, now you're going to get all these details here. On Military Strategies Live, we're live right now. By the way, speaking of live, we have a second channel, Military Strategies Live, where we run 24-hour cameras. We report on events in Lebanon and Israel during attacks, connect cameras, and provide extensive coverage. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like this content, please feel free to leave your super chat so we can keep funding this project so you don't lose us. In fact, the Israeli government doesn't even give us a press card, because they consider that YouTube channels, or at least that's what they've said, are not press. Even though more people watch us than many TV channels, or at least unlike other TV channels. By the way, I really love Iker Jimenez and Carmen, and they've done a good job. They have corrected the misinformation that was presented the other night on their show, Horizonte. I'm obviously referring to this video that we're about to watch now. Well, alarms? Alarms, we have to go. Family, we have to go. We'll be right back. Images of... We're back now, family. Calm down, calm down. Everything's fine, everything's fine. Everything's fine? Everything's fine. Well, everything. Where were we? I've already lost track. I've missed something. Let's see. Let's see what happened. Let's check the cameras. Strange, very strange, but I'll tell you why. The alarm has gone off. The first one, very quickly, and then the sirens, which is a little strange. Let's see what we have on the cameras. 1 second, fam. We're going to leave Lebanon. Let's see what happened around here. One second, we're looking. Let's see if there have been any sirens. Super weird this time. Okay, I'll check. It seems it was the area. Tel Aviv Center. I think it was just one missile. I think it was just one missile. I don't know. Waiting for confirmation a bit about this matter. So, well, we're live here on Military Strategies. Fam, sorry, we had to leave. Was it necessary? Today we're not setting up the studio inside the bunker, because honestly, missiles hardly ever reach here anymore. But, well, it's part of the security protocol. This doesn't mean this happens every time people go to the shelter. It doesn't mean that a missile has hit or that one is going to hit. It's simply an early warning of what could happen, of what might occur. I'll try and call Ariel Kaniensky, since I think something happened there too, and we need to check it out. So let's call Ariel. Give me a second. Let's see if he can tell us what happened, what occurred, and if there was any kind of alarm in that regard. Let's see. The alarm is over, okay? People can already leave the shelters. It was pretty quick. Quite Strange, as I said. So let's see if Ariel answers us. I'm calling Ariel Kaniensky, so he can tell us what happened. It seems that nothing has happened, huh? It seems nothing has happened. Ariel. Hello? Ariel Kaniensky? Ariel's in the shelter, right? His signal is bad.
Hello?
Hello, Ariel, can you hear me?
I hear you.
I hear you. We're live. You're in the shelter.
I'm at the shelter. I'll call when I leave.
You'll call us. This attack is interesting. Take care, Hugs. Well, Ariel is fine regarding the questions you asked us. Ariel is fine. Everything is fine. At what point are things, okay? Now, we need to wait for confirmation from Israeli media. If there has been an impact or not, we will say it, we will tell it. Total transparency when talking about impacts. We were saying that I care a lot about that, dear Carmen. We mentioned Horizonte, Cuarto Milenio, Milenio Tres. Horizonte, they make an incredible show on Spanish television, I think, Spanish. That unfortunately there isn't content like theirs, but, well, the special correspondent from Cuatro yesterday made some statements that are not correct. Laura de Chiclana said something that isn't true, she said. We don't know why she said it. There hasn't been an official statement. She was in Haifa. The background shows Haifa's gardens from one of the world's oldest religions, which is headquartered in Haifa. It's neither Jewish, Christian, nor Muslim. Passage, I think it's called, or something like that. Passage, I don't remember the exact name. That place is beautiful. She said something unbelievable as a second point.
When she was about to come in and talk to you, one of those drones and the interception was just seen right behind us.
She says that there has been a drone interception in Haifa.
Laura de Chiclana, the situation is that people are running to the shelters.
People are going to the shelters.
But not everyone in Israel has one.
But not everyone in Israel has a shelter.
Do they have the right?
They don't have the right. Laura de Chiclana says not everyone in Israel has shelter rights.
They have the right to go to the shelters. Here, for example, in Haifa, in an Arab neighborhood.
In an Arab neighborhood?
In other Arab areas of the country, Arabs don't have the right to go to shelters. In this Arab neighborhood, there's only one public shelter for everyone. That means not everyone can fit or has time to get there.
This is unbelievable.
What the authorities say is that if they specifically want to have a shelter, they have to pay around 50,000 euros.
50,000 euros for a shelter. And for an Arab?
To have a private shelter.
A private shelter with a jacuzzi?
When the authorities want to go take shelter somewhere else, the population and the citizens kick them out.
He says they evict Arabs from the shelters. Laura de Chiclana, who is here in Israel, has probably been given a press card by the GPO, the press office, so she can do her job freely and calmly inside Israel. I'm not discussing those issues. They are political matters for the office regarding who gets the card. In Israel, it's mandatory that any construction within Israeli territory has a shelter, a mamad for missiles coming from Gaza or from Lebanon. For the missiles from Iran that are usually fired inside large buildings or residential buildings, there is a mamad. In those buildings live Jews, Christians, Muslims, agnostics, and those who believe in reptilians. Ariel is calling me because this is interesting. Ariel Kanievsky, Ariel.
Hello?
Hello. We're talking. Are you okay? Well, first of all, are you okay?
We're fine. Yes, we're fine. We can now leave the shelter. We're fine.
Okay, look, we were talking about a video. Excuse me, it's just that I want to finish this topic because it's super important. Also, it's really good that you're here, that you live here and you're from here. We're talking about the topic of shelters. This video that came out on Cuatro on the program Horizonte by Iker and Carmen, in which a girl, a journalist named Laura Chiclana, said that Arabs do not have the right to public shelters in Israel and that they have to pay 50,000 euros. I was saying that, and now I'm going to let you explain this better. In large buildings, there is, underneath the building, what's it called? A shelter, a bunker where everyone goes down, whether they're Arab, Christian, whoever. People don't ask who you are, nor do they ban you from going down. Anyway, that's what this girl said. Can you clarify since you're from here? Because legally, officially, the government says that any citizen or resident of Israel has the right to a shelter. Correct. I don't know this, why he said it, I don't know. Then Carmen, is it true that Carmen Porter made a clarification to him? We're going to see it here. Let's listen for a second, Ariel.
That it's not true that in Israel, Arab citizens, Israelis.
It's not true. That was good for Carmen, good for Iker, this clarification, bad for this girl, Laura de Chiclana, who doesn't know. Obviously, she was given the wrong information, or she hasn't informed herself from the right sources where she should get her information. It's really serious to say this, that a human life can be bought for 50,000 euros. It's really serious. Ariel, what happened with this attack?
What happened with this attack? Nothing.
Nothing has happened.
No, nothing landed. A very, very small number of missiles. You probably already know the number. I'm not going to say it, but there's no problem if you say it. But it's a very, very, very small number of launches. And everything was intercepted. The whole attack was intercepted, no problem. Iran is launching very few at a time. I think they're going to try to launch today because it's Shabbat night, and they know that Shabbat night is a very symbolic night. That generally the Jewish people gather in their homes with their families, and therefore disrupting the family gathering. The family dinner is happening now. I think that's one of their main objectives. An hour ago, they already launched one or two, also a very, very small number. And now they launched another one. I think as much as they can, they're going to try to keep bringing up the topic with this girl, with this Laura Chiclana, right there in the same show. A few minutes later, they immediately shut her up and said, no, that's not how it is. And there are two possibilities with this pseudo-journalist. The first is that she's terrible at her job, that she's awful, that she's a disaster at what she does, and that she didn't do her research properly. That's the first one, which is already serious. Because if you have a job, at the very least, do your research, at least try to do it as best as you can. She seems like she didn't do any research and just said whatever she felt without checking or properly informing herself. That's the first possibility, which is already serious. The second is that she's lying on purpose, which would be even more serious. In other words, in both possibilities, what she's doing is extremely serious. And what this girl needs to do now is come out in public and apologize, because what she said is an anti-Semitic hoax. She needs to correct herself and commit to doing her job better. And probably if the outlet she works for, which I don't know which one it is a Spanish outlet, it's a serious and responsible outlet. What they need to do is immediately terminate her and ask her to return. She can't because she's here in Israel and therefore has no way to leave. But either she should be reassigned or they should give her lessons on how a journalist should inform herself when presenting in front of people. Not give information like that, because what she said is very, very serious. In Israel, we have three types of shelters. There are shelters that people have in their homes, so they don't have to go anywhere. Every person who lives in a relatively new apartment has a room that is a shelter. There are also shelters inside the building itself, meaning instead of each apartment having its own shelter, there is one in the building. At the bottom, there is a shelter, so the people who live in that building go down to that shelter. And there are shelters that are outside the buildings, the community shelters, which is the shelter I go to. Very well. For those who don't have a shelter, because I don't have a shelter in my house either, and I'm not Arab, I don't have one. That is, in Israel, some people have a shelter in their house, which are the apartments that were built after the Gulf War in 1991, by law, after the Gulf War in 91, since Saddam Hussein fired a bunch of missiles. A law was passed that said all new buildings had to have a shelter inside the building. Well, you do everything in my house. In a building from the 1960s. So it's an old building. I don't even have one in the building itself. I have to leave the building. Luckily, I have it nearby. Do you also know it because you've seen it?
We've been there together during the attack. Of course.
Perfect. When you went in, did anyone ask you if you were Arab, Jewish, Druze, if you prayed to Zoroaster, or if you believed in the Dalai Lama?
No, nobody asked me. Nobody asked for my passport. Nobody asked for my ID chip. They didn't scan me with a microchip to see where I came from. I mean, no.
Exactly. And actually, I'll tell you about it. I was going to share this story later on a live stream on my channel, but I'll tell you now, I'll give you the scoop, or maybe I'll share it too. I'll share two things about this topic, and the first one happened the other day. Here, you know that sometimes there are Arabs working. Ashdod is not an Arab city. There aren't Arabs living here, but there are Arabs working who come from other places. And Arabs entered the shelter. Arabs who were working around here in the neighborhood, they went out, heard the siren, and entered the shelter. Of course, if I had known you had to charge every Arab $50,000 to enter the shelter, if they had told me earlier I'd have $50,000 now, I would have asked for that amount per person. Claro, por cabeza. No one said anything to them, no one looked at them, because usually people, sometimes you talk to your neighbors like, how are you, everything good? But if not, if they're strangers just passing by, you might not even greet them. They came and left, but nothing happened. The second thing, I ran into this girl once, this so-called journalist. Do you want me to tell you where?
Go ahead, tell me.
I'll tell you where. The day they released the hostages at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, I was there. And there were a lot of media outlets, and this journalist was there too. And besides being a terrible journalist and probably a liar too, do you know what else she is? Also, why is she a bad person? Because for a long time this girl was trying to record something. She wanted the stage they had set up there to appear in the background of her shot, in the Hostages Square. Do you know the stage? You were here when everything was set up, now they've already taken everything down. But she was trying to record a segment for her outlet and it wasn't going well. She kept repeating it over and over, and it wasn't going well because of her, because she kept repeating it and getting stuck and getting angry. Do you know with whom?
Why?
With the cameraman who was filming her, who's Arab. And she treated him badly. She told him, "You're not doing your job right, it's your fault things are going wrong for me," and I was there. It caught my attention because I thought, why is this girl treating the cameraman badly? At that moment, I didn't know who she was.
Then she started to
sound familiar to me.
Because you're telling me, of course.
Yes. I mean, she's a bad person who treats the people who work with her badly, because besides everything we already know, she's also that kind of person. And what she wanted was for the cameraman to film her. While she was talking, she tried to gesture with her hand so people could see, and the cameraman did it right, but she kept messing up and blamed him. I mean, this girl, this Laura Chiclana, who besides being a terrible journalist, because what she said is a lie, is probably also a liar. And I don't rule out a certain anti-Semitic component in her comments. Also, she's a terrible person who treats the workers who work with her badly. And in that case, it was an Arab cameraman. In that case, it was an Arab cameraman. So we understand what kind of person we're talking about. And now, of course, because this was everywhere. In fact, I also have the video that started circulating on Instagram. Why does this girl seem familiar to me? And then suddenly I remembered. Of course, it's her. She's the same one who was mistreating her Arab cameraman in the Hostages Square. The same one. What do you think?
I'm freaking out.
Yeah. So these things are things you need to know. And the second thing, or the third, or the fourth, because I said I was going to say two things and I'm already saying more than one or two.
So, Laura Chiclana tried to trick Carmen Porter and Iker Jimenez with the hoax about the 50,000 euros.
Yes. That's right.
By the way, I insist again, all my respect to Iker and Carmen. They are great communicators. In fact, an example for many people, including myself. I'm freaking out, man.
Yeah, but notice that then they shut him up right away. I mean, just minutes later. I don't know both of them. Iker Jimenez is the UFO guy. He's the one who talks, right? The one from Cuarto Milenio. Well, I don't know the other one, the other journalist, but right away, and it's like Iker Jimenez breathes a sigh of relief. It's his wife. Okay, I had no idea. Well, sorry, I'm not that informed about that topic, like he breathes a sigh of relief. I don't know if you notice in the video when she gives that information where she clearly denies what she just said.
Pseudo-journalist, like he says, okay.
Thank goodness, right? Because, of course, it's terrible for someone to give news like that. So in the state of Israel, they don't let people into shelters because they have a different ethnicity, a different religion. They charge 50,000 for shelter access. But where did she get that information? Where does she get the information that Arabs have to pay $50,000 to have access to shelters? But the thing is, she says it as if she's been a witness, like she's seen it, that they charge 50,000. But listen, she also says the authorities, she says that too. The authorities don't allow Arabs to enter the shelters, and if they want a shelter, they have to pay 50,000. She says the authorities, but which authorities, what authorities? Is there a police officer at the entrance of every shelter, checking to see if the person entering is Arab or not? What is that? It sounds like an anti-Semitic libel from the Middle Ages. It's very serious. But do you know what the problem is? That in the West, in Europe, in Spain, anti-Semitism is so deeply rooted in the general culture that when you spread one of these rumors, you don't even have to explain them because a lot of people will believe it. Oh yes, Jews, it's obvious that they behave like that. In the same way that in the Middle Ages they accused Jews of spreading the plague, or in the same way that in the Middle Ages they accused Jews of poisoning the wells, or in the same way that they accused them of murdering Christian children to use their bodies to make food. It's exactly the same modus operandi. You spread a hoax, you make up a lie, you attack the Jews and people. In many cases, because anti-Semitic sentiment is so deeply rooted, they just let it go and don't even question it. Thank goodness there are still sane people, there are still normal people who started to investigate and were able to check this information and debunk what was said. Listen, if this TV channel, which I have no idea about, if no statement is released or the girl doesn't apologize.
I mean, Carmen Porter was quick to speak up. She debunked her. Here, I think the issue is more than just Cuarto. It's about talking to the GPO of Israel, that is the Government Press Office of Israel. Explain to them, as they likely don't know about this because they don't speak Spanish or know what's happening here. Explain to them what's happening with this Laura Chiclana, and that her press credentials be immediately revoked.
Sí.
And I think you speak Hebrew, so it'll be easier for you.
I'll tell you this much. There's a problem in Israel. Problema. In Israel, press freedom is among the world's highest.
Yes, but this isn't freedom of the press.
This is just being malicious. In comparison, freedom of the press in Israel is much higher than in Spain. And if you want, we can talk about it another time, because I have the data, and so it's very complicated to do what you're saying. The issue should be approached from the angle that he lies, that he doesn't fact check the information, that he just throws it out there. Serious hoaxes. Look, as far as I know, there aren't any journalists who have had their permission to operate in Israel revoked. I don't know of any. The extreme case is that of, at certain specific times, Al Jazeera, but well, we already know what Al Jazeera is. They were the propagandist for Hamas. So I have no evidence that this can be done, but I don't know if you want, can we try it or not? Is there an easier solution? Strategies that the pseudo-journalist Laura Chiclana could use because she has an Instagram account. She should make a statement and say, sorry, I messed up. People make mistakes sometimes. If it was really unintentional, because if it was on purpose, then we understand that she won't apologize because she wanted to cause that. But if it was really unintentional, she should apologize. There's no problem with that. Listen, she'll see this. They'll show her. We agree.
Yes, she'll see this, and I'll also make the clip and upload it to Twitter.
There are a lot of people listening to this, and at some point this is going to reach her. And don't be surprised if she's not watching it, even right now, live.
Probably.
And if she doesn't watch it now, she'll watch this conversation later, she'll listen to it. So she should correct herself, apologize, say that she either fell for someone's hoax, or that it was unintentional, or that she didn't mean any harm, and tell the truth. It's okay. If that's the reason and the reason is a mistake, it's all right. People make mistakes. It's fine, but it's still wrong. Why? Because a journalist can't give information like that without verifying it first. They can't. It's their job. Es tu trabajo. It's like a doctor diagnosing you with something you don't have. You can't do that. It's your job to do it right. It's like me taking my tourist to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and saying, this is Mount Sinai. I can't do that. Why? Because I'm not doing my job right. It's exactly the same. She has to do her job properly. So if it really was a mistake, no problem. Hey, I made a mistake. Sorry, it was an error. I'll try to check my sources better. And we change the subject. Or maybe it wasn't a mistake. In both cases, it's serious, but it's much less serious if it was a mistake. Because if it wasn't a mistake, it means she's manipulating on purpose.
I'm freaking out about this. I just don't get it. If it's necessary to get to that point, serious.
Serious.
All right, I'll let you go. Take care.
We'll talk later. Greetings to your whole community. Shabbat Shalom.
Good thing Carmen Porter corrected herself immediately, because she received a message on air and was able to make the correction. And well, that's it. I have major breaking news. We have some huge breaking news. Muy grande. March 6th, 2026. 9:13 en Israel. Israel. En directo. Desde España a Israel. ¡Qué gran viaje! Bien. We have breaking news. Vais a alucinar. Último minuto. Último minuto enorme. Muy grande. Family, we are live right now, 26,000 people. We're entering another dimension of the war. Strategic move by the United States of America. Because when it's 9:15 at night, Israel time, the largest aircraft carrier in the world, the most modern, the most lethal, the USS Gerald Ford, has just crossed the Suez Canal heading to the Red Sea. We are live right now, family. The Ford heading to the Red Sea. Y esto no lo sabíamos. Esto no lo sabíamos. Satellite image of the Ford crossing the Suez Canal. Tremendo. Quiere decir esto. That the toilets weren't clogged, that the Ford doesn't return to its base when the Bush arrives, that the Bush has returned to port after finishing its training before deployment, and that in the coming days or weeks another aircraft carrier will be deployed in the eastern Mediterranean. That the Bush is joining or possibly joining operations with the Lincoln, and that it will possibly cross hostile Houthi territory. Or maybe the Ford now is going to head to Yemen. We are live right now. Family, military strategies, we're entering a whole new dimension of war. Well. The aircraft carrier, which was off the coast of Israel, is no longer there and has now crossed the Suez Canal. Yesterday, there was a P-8 Poseidon right at the entrance of the canal. Surprise move. There's the photograph again from the Chinese satellite. Photograph from the Chinese satellite. Which shows us the fourth strike group crossing the Suez Canal. If it weren't for this image, nobody would have found out. In Iran, they already know. Wow, right now, live here on Military Strategies Family. Thank you so much for being live with us. We still have the main event of the day coming up. Ariel Kanievsky, super fired up with the statements from Laura Chiclana. I had never seen Ariel Kanievsky so angry. And what's more, if he said he witnessed what he talked about in the hostages square, regarding Ariel, I've been with him, I know him personally, would stake my life on it. He's not lying. He's the only person I'd stake my life on. He's not lying, my God. When he says this girl treated his cameraman badly, 100%, I've never seen Ariel lie about anything. For better or worse, never. And he wouldn't do it about something like this. Grave. Gravissimo. It's very serious. Let's get to today's main course, family. The bunker. El Ayatollah Khamenei vivía en un búnker. Nunca se movió de allí. Israel mapped the bunker for years. They did it with vehicles equipped underneath. They drove through the streets surrounding the palace bunker, where Khamenei was planning the destruction of the state of Israel. A bunker built to be inviolable, to never be destroyed. Algo increíble. Meters underground. The entire Iranian military leadership and all the high-ranking officials took refuge in it. Scientifically designed, with elevators, freight lifts, to spend long periods, even years. But on February 28th at 8 in the morning, Khamenei decided to go up to the surface to record a video, the last video he was never able to finish. The IDF. Seven days later, they returned to the bunker to destroy it. This is the bunker. Images of Tehran, the capital of Iran. A terrifying facility. The presidential palace, the residence of Khamenei, the center of evil. Branches in different buildings spread throughout that neighborhood, under civilian houses, tunnels deeper than those in Gaza. But in this case, as we are seeing, Israel knew the details. Vehicles, cars, and the main residence, with the command center. Images of Nasrallah, of Khamenei, of Sinwar. They even knew which paintings were there, and the command room, the place where directives for the future of Iran and the world were given. The work is impressive, and I believe it. I believe it because we also have the video footage of the bombing. Now we're going to see it as Israel. Then they went back to the bunker and blew it up with 100 fighter jets to destroy this place. This is the first piece of information I'm giving you about Operation Bunker. It's impressive. We can see the entrance ramps here with vehicles. What we're seeing here, which we'll look at now, we'll see it in detail in a moment, don't worry. This is the vehicle entrance. Let's start step by step. First image. Here, in military strategies, we've gone a little further. We've wanted to go where others haven't. We've done it again. We've done it. It's not the first time. Reconstruction on the map of Khamenei's labyrinth. The entrances and exits. Here we are. The leader's house where Khamenei died. This area in red is the Sancta Sanctorum. The most protected place of the regime for years, now dust and destruction, behind the passage of 100 fighter jets. But be careful, on February 28th, Khamenei is eliminated on the surface, but the bunker was still operational. The leaders, the Ayatollahs, were still there, locked in, hidden. They thought that Israel, first, didn't know about it, second, couldn't reach the bunker, and third, they took advantage of the opportunity. Look, Khamenei was on the surface. Khamenei, his granddaughter, his daughter, and members of his family died that morning. And how far did the bunker go? The red lines are tunnels, entrances to the bunker. This building also appears on the east side of the bunker. The first building that appears in this story, next, this other one here, this building that was also the vehicle entrance to the inside. Seguimos. Hacia el noroeste, bajo la calle. To another of the emergency entrance and exit buildings. This one we see here. We continue to the west. We leave the main building behind. We go down through the tunnel. We find a hospital that hasn't been destroyed. Another of the emergency entrance or exit buildings. This one here. The roundabout and the main vehicle entrance building. We find it here. All those vehicles are part of the ecosystem that Kamehameha had to survive. Another one of the secret hidden entrances. This one we see here, which was attacked during the 12-day war. Here you can see the hole that was made. Image from June 21st, 2025. Right after the 12-day war ended. Historical image. February 2025. 2024. March 2024. The evolution of this place, where another entrance and main buildings of the bunker were being built, can be seen here. The place was under construction, and we can see the machinery here. And during the 12-day war, Israel destroyed this area with anti-tank ammunition. Here you can see the metal structure, how it's been cut. This was bombed with bunker-busting ammunition. This detail is important and must be considered. You see how it's covered here? There's nothing in this area. The entrance has been blocked and a mound of earth has been placed to protect and reinforce this part of the bunker. Israel? Knew it. This is December 2024. You see that an internal structure is dug into the ground. That is, the earth is moved aside. This one you see here, you can see it has been moved aside to enter the structure and reinforce it again. See, the internal structure, the one that was previously covered, is now uncovered. And then during the 12-day war, you can see that this building we see here has already been built, the roof has already been put on, and the roofs were already being put on these buildings here to later bury them. We can see that a bunker-busting munition entered and exploded below, and that's the reality. According to the video, what we were seeing, we're going to see here again, and now we're going to watch the video of the attack. The bunker was built to have different exits and emergency entrances. We see the access ramps, each of the access ramps that we see around here. Con los ascensores. Elevators for the vehicles, that is freight elevators. Then we see inside. Israel is very methodical with this, and when it designs it, it's because that's how it is. We saw it with Nasrallah's as well. You might wonder, how do you know all this? There are two parts. One is intelligence on the ground, obviously space-based, but then we have the use of technology, which is extremely important. On the ground as well, but it's super important. This is the main room. They used 100 planes to destroy it. The regime thought it was impossible for Israel to destroy it, or even for the United States. Of course. The thing is, when you use 100 fighter jets loaded to the brim with bunker-busting munitions and you start drilling and piercing through, and drill until there's nothing left. Tomorrow, we have the footage. Fam, we're live, right now. Let's watch the moment when, days after the assassination of Khamenei, Israel comes back with 100 planes and deals them a blow, a complete blow. Your likes are super important in what's happening right now. Let's watch it. At 2,000 kilometers, the planes were starting a mission they had also been waiting a long time for. To show the regime that there is nowhere they can hide, nowhere you are safe. There is nothing worse for an enemy than to show them there is nowhere to hide. That's exactly what happened. Let's watch it. There it starts. Bombs falling all over the area, bunker busting munitions drilling down, going in one after another on the same side, causing the total collapse of that bunker. There we see it. Tremendous. Israel's drill hitting the key points to minimize collateral damage to civilians and leaving the Ayatollahs without a bunker. What a moment. What a military lesson from Israel. Once again, they've done it. Once again, they break the regime again. impressive. Look there, you can see the sheer amount of ammunition used. I don't even know. I couldn't even calculate it. We're talking about tons, hundreds of tons, 100 fighter jets. They must have used F-15S, which can carry a lot of bunker-busting ammunition. The munitions they must have used were the Pavway. They must have used Israel's Spice 2500, which has incredible penetration. They must have started drilling repeatedly. The United States could have told them, and with a couple of GBU bombs like the ones used in Fordo, those super bombs, they could have destroyed it. The problem would have been the collateral damage. That kind of ammunition would have created a real shockwave in all the surrounding buildings, and there would have been a lot of civilian casualties. But however, if you use very high capacity, highly precise ammunition, you can drill into the key places of the bunker. And when one of those rounds gets inside, what are we going to put now? I mean, when one of those rounds, which we see falling in this video, reaches the key point, a fireball is produced inside that kills everyone. Khamenei was not outside the bunker. Sorry, he was not in the bunker at the time of the attack. Why did Israel want to wait for him to come up? Did they know that he was recording videos and that he was more fragile or more defenseless outside? There could have been an attack, as we were just seeing, but the success rate would have been reduced probably to about 60 or 70%. Israel wanted to work at 100% regarding Khamenei. Imagine that those munitions in this building we're looking at start penetrating straight down, all the way to the bottom, one after another, one after another. Each munition that falls opens an 8-meter hole. One, another. When it reaches the bottom, the last munitions that start to come in through the same spot cause the tunnel effect. With that explosion, even if the walls are reinforced, they end up giving way, and if they don't, they get trapped inside. The ventilation system gets overloaded, and they die from asphyxiation. That's what happened to Nasrallah. That's what happened again today to the military and political leadership of Iran. We don't know who was inside. It's not all confirmed yet, but we can come to understand, to realize that they may have destroyed a lot. By the way, the B-2S have been dropping bunker-busting munitions in the Shiraz area. They have been attacking another of the main bases of this regime. We are going to see it. Again, the B-2S are already playing a routine role in military operations. Let's go over there. Here we see it. Another of the important facilities of Shiraz. The regime's bunkers, inside there are missile launchers waiting to come out and attack Israel. Well, this place, the B-2S have visited it in the last few hours, and they hit them with everything. We have an image where you can see what happened. There we see the before and after. You can see the marks, scorch marks, showing that all the entrances have been attacked. That's what those planes are for. To unload a lot of ammunition quickly.
Incredible.
Incredible. What we're seeing, total madness. It's total madness. It really is total madness what we're seeing. And what you can see, look at this photo to confirm what we said here exclusively a few minutes ago. On military strategies, the Gerald Ford is heading to the Persian Gulf. Photo, what you see there is the silhouette of the Ford. Suez Canal. It's crazy. It's crazy everything you can see. The French aircraft carrier is now heading to the Mediterranean, with a strike group as well, officially to provide security to the island of Cyprus. And what can we conclude or realize about what is happening? What has the White House said? The White House said they will continue until total surrender. Until there is a total surrender. The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. Let's get to the news flashes. Let's go with breaking news. The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, Ghalibaf, says, the Americans will understand that the fate of beloved Iran, which is more precious than life itself, will be determined only by the proud Iranian nation, not by Epstein's gang. Are they still going on about that? Aren't they? President Donald Trump is going to meet with defense contractors in the next few minutes, along with the Secretary of Defense, to discuss support and a rapid increase in the capacity of American manufacturers to produce American-made weapons. We have more than enough ammunition and weapons reserves to achieve the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. Russia is providing information to Iran. We've said this before. We've mentioned it before. Too much information. Too much data. But that's how war is. Russia, would you like to see how the United States is destroyed in the region? For now, it's not happening. The Persian Gulf countries. Worried about international trade, about the damage, and because Iran could attack the water treatment plants in the region, and that would certainly be a heavy blow. Pay attention to this place. That's where the famous early warning radar is located. The radar that provides security. This is public information. According to CNN, confirming with this image, Iran may have destroyed one of those radars. CNN confirmed that a U.S. anti-ballistic missile site near Prince Sultan Base was attacked, damaging a radar. At least 3 destroyed or damaged. 2 in Saudi Arabia, 1 in Saudi Arabia, 1 in Jordan, and 2 in the United Arab Emirates. But I still have my doubts. about whether the United States isn't moving them around continuously. Even so, we'll have to see. Remember, in yesterday's show, at one point we were looking at flights. I commented that there are things I can't discuss or explain yet due to ongoing operations. And we saw this image of the P-8 Poseidon near the south of Cyprus, north of the Suez Canal. And I said, well, there's a P-8 Poseidon around the area where the aircraft carrier is. It was clear.
So, the aircraft carrier was going to cross. It was clear.
It was clear. So, what does it mean for the aircraft carrier to go there? One, for now, the Jews haven't made an appearance. Either they're afraid or they haven't been given the order to attack yet. Or maybe last time was enough for them. I doubt it. It's very likely that at some point the Jews will start the celebration. But it's also very possible that the United States now, after having reduced the attack capability of Iran with ballistic missiles, now wants to focus on opening navigation in the Persian Gulf. They'll need that aircraft carrier and its escort group for that, to provide shelter and security to the ships. There is an aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, which is currently engaged in direct military operations in that area. The one that would arrive the Ford would join those operations, but mainly for maritime navigation. So let's see what happens. Let's see what goes on over there. By the way, photos of Bibi visiting the F-22 base. Official photos published. That is public information. Bibi licking his lips at the sight of the F-22s. There he is with the United States pilots, Netanyahu, the man who is in charge of this whole war. Incredible, incredible, but true. And pay attention to the B-52s, the video we saw last night, which we can now talk about. People who pay attention and are observant would notice something important. Attention, everyone. What we're about to show you live in terms of military strategies, because that also changes a lot of what we're seeing. Let's take a look. The B-52s have come into play. There we see one of them taking off. There we see them taking off. We pause the frame there. I want you to pay attention to that part over there. That right there. It's a shadow. A shadow that indicates the type of weapons they're carrying.
There, you can see.
Notice that we're playing it in slow motion, frame by frame, and there they are. Under the wings of the B-52. Are we seeing anything? Cruise missiles. The United States is launching advanced cruise missiles, the AGM-158. So, let's put up a photograph so people can see it. This indicates several things. In some areas of the country, they're not going inside. They're launching it from 2,000 kilometers away or 1,000 kilometers away. Therefore, the issue of air superiority may still not be complete. But this missile you see, which has target recognition by artificial intelligence, has a low radar signature. Devastating, destructive, with unique combat capabilities. We can see it there. One of the most advanced cruise missiles, a 450-kilo warhead. It can withstand jamming and electronic warfare systems. Well, there it is. We already have confirmation that the AGM-158s are being used, which are more advanced than the Tomahawk cruise missiles that have been launched in recent days. So, more information, more things coming in, more stories appearing. Fam. We're going to leave it here for now. We're going to join a friend who's streaming. Right now, I don't know who will be on, but I'll leave you in good hands. Thank you so much for joining us live. We'll see you here on Military Strategies in just a bit, in a couple of hours. We'll be back tonight with more programming, more live shows, with questions and answers, and we'll see what happens. We're heading over now to Jotar, quote-unquote, who's been broadcasting for a little while already. Le mandáis un saludo de mi parte. Un saludo. Estrategias militares.